Morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Morning.
Yes. That's right.
We're going out on the Buckle Street and the streets are not ugly.
Right, okay, so I'll have a count now so we don't lose you. 20 in my time. Right. Okay, so gentleman here, Dave, with the glasses, he knows what's going on. I will try and know what's going on, but between us you might get the truth. Just the word of the day is trip hazard. So, yeah.
By the way, feel free to take photographs anywhere you like. Yeah, but don't sort of hang around.
We've arranged one of the 3 Sundays.
There is a picture or some photos. See me or somebody to escort you back. I don't know. We try to find out, but yeah.
We did?
Yeah. We were boy racing. I mean, I remember, you know, being at school and seeing the trees and the car.
Morning.
There we go. So here we are, we're in the locomotive works. This building here opened in 1856. We believe that it is the oldest working, continually used railway workshop in the world. There are a few around the world that would contend that, but we believe this is the oldest. There has been a building on site since 1840, and that was replaced by this one in 1856. In the 1860s, they very quickly started, or they started to make some locomotives, but when Horwich Works was built, that was moved over there, and this became a running shed and a carriage maintenance works. It's been in use, British Rail used it for the electric car works, and now the East Lancashire Railway use it both as a running shed to store our stuff, and also the maintenance facility as well. What we'll do, we'll walk down the far end side first, have a look at some of the stuff we've got there, walk back, then we'll have an opportunity to look at the stuff in the running shed. We'll go outside and have a chance to look at some of the steam engines and things that we've got planned outside, and then we'll get back on the train to get back to the station. It's not a massive rush, so if you do want to stop and take photos, please feel free to. I'll endeavour to answer your questions. If I don't know, I'll try and find out before you go. The locomotive work itself has actually got some fairly interesting original features. You'll see around the walls where the white paint is peeled off, there's some sort of blue tinge stuff. I'm told that was the original paintwork, and it's blue because it better reflects the gas light that was in here right before electricity was introduced. So you'll see that around in various patches. As you look right into the original oak beams and the roof has seen better days. We are constantly fighting Mother Nature and aging to try and keep it going. At the moment, it's fantastically, it's up there, it's not falling down, so that's good. I'll get a picture. So this side of the loco works really is our restoration side. What we've got is a load of vehicles in a sort of various states of restoration. Some are owned by the railway, some are not, some are privately owned, and they have agreements to come and do the work on here. We also have facilities like we've got a machine shop in there with lathes and drills, things like that, so we can turn our own parts. And as you can see, there are some pits that run along the length of the building. Most of the pits are covered with vehicles at the moment, or they've been barried out of use. Just be careful as you walk around. It is fairly easy to sort of trip over things and fall in them. So thank you very much. This vehicle here is privately owned. It's very shortly being sent off for refurbishments. I think it's in the state it was when it came out of the scrapyard. It hasn't had any work done on it since I think it was the 70s. But hopefully in the not too distant future this will be returned back to running order. Just over here we've got the crab locomotive. That was, or is, the railway's own locomotive. It's taken out of service, I think it was 2016. And again, I think we've got a fund at the moment to fund the refurbishment. So the chassis is very shortly going to be sent away to an independent contractor with a view to this coming back. So early next year, there's a rolling chassis where we can start the fitting of the boiler and the various bits on there. We've got a privately owned locomotive here. This used to work in London, the Metropolitan Electric Works, MET. So the owner has arranged for it to do the work here, so it's very, very slowly sort of progressing forwards. Every time I see this loco, something new's been done to it, so it's going quite well. Yeah, we do rely on a lot of donations. This white metal bay here was donated by the local college. With that, we're able to work on axle boxes, eccentric gear, things like that. Absolutely fantastic. Privately owned and solely being worked on. I mean, when we get to walking out the far end, you'll see just how big the site is. Yeah. I think it's something like 82 acres in total. It's absolutely massive. We've got 8 storage sidings, 6 lines into the shed, and we've even got space for beehives. We've got a little nature area with a little pond there, 4 beehives, which makes railway honey. The electric locomotive that started life as an overhead, it's a took part from the overhead supply. It's a local one. It was from Bolton Power Station, converted to battery use in I think 1977. We nicknamed it Tesla for obvious reasons, but it's a good thing. We're just working on getting a charger for it. So when that was taken out of service, I think it went to the Museum of Science and Industry. The actual battery chargers themselves were removed and scrapped, and nobody makes them commercially anymore. So that's the biggest challenge that we've got really. Just over here we've got class 25. That's had some remedial work done on the frame there. The cab, if you were to lean on that, might move slightly. It's only just got length on there, but just a testament really to some of the great machines and the staff that we've got here and the volunteers. They're so skilled, they know so much about these things. Especially at this far end, we've got a 10-ton overhead crane, so we can lift a lot of stuff, which is really useful when you're moving wheel sets and things around. We've got a set of jacks there. As you can see, there is a locomotive on the jack, sir. Is that your locomotive, sir?
Yes, I'm a member of the CrossFit.
There you go. And on the right-hand side, we've got a wheel lane.
These are the 2 bogies, this end and the far end of the class 15. It's been quite a protracted process to try and get them back to running order. We are now in the process of remachining the bearings so we can put those back on the traction motors. The traction motors can then go back on the bogies, and the bogies then go back on the class 15. The engine is in it, it's in perfect working order, just we don't get a chance to start it up. There's not much I can tell you, we've no idea when we'll be back on the rails, sooner rather than later we hope, but it is a long-term project, and a lot more problems have presented themselves in the process of restoration than we ever expected.
We've turned and the chalk mark on the inside is half an inch taken off the diameter. So we've got the same to do on this side, and that's to bring this profile here back to the correct shape. So the rail wears into the corner there and into the taper there, and then starts to cause issues if it gets too bad for derailment and track wear as well. Despite the fact that it's a big lump of a machine, it does inch round very, very slowly, and then when you want to actually get it turning, it spins up to a decent speed. And this is the speed that we normally turn most of it at. All of the turning that we do is manual, so all the tapers, the curves and the shapes are done most by feeling my eye to start with. We check using profile gauge to make sure we get the right profile, and then the final finish using a profile cutter to get the actual precise shape. Does anyone have any questions on it?
How long does it take to complete something like that?
So that wheel was about 3/4 of a day. This wheel we thought for 3/4 of a day The journals themselves, which are the bits that are sat either side where the bearings run, that'll take usually a day apiece because it's a far slower process. So even though there's a lot less material to come off, it takes a lot longer because you've then got to polish them afterwards. So it takes us forever to do them, but they end up really nice. The wheel set there is off of City of Wells, which has had a pair of new tyres fitted at Riley & Sons, and they'll go into the machine and have the final foot on them. And the pair of wheels that have had new tyres fitted on, it's about a 3-week process from under the loco to back under the loco.
How many times can you reprofile it before you've took too much material off?
It depends on how much material you need to take off. So there's a judgment point to where the wear point isn't worth taking another cut because it takes off more material than it's worn. But then if you go too far, it takes longer to get the profile back because of the wear into the flange than it does if you machine it early. So it's very much a judgment call. Some of the wheels are in the pits over here. We've had to take a lot of material off because they've been badly worn contract jobs for outside.
Okay.
So a lot of those, they'll only have one more turning in them.
Somebody was just reminding me, just as an anecdote really, this side of the shed used to be the home of Riley's Engineering, and it's actually where the Flying Scotland was rebuilt when the National Rail Museum got it back onto running. So in that side of the building there. The wall there is laughingly referred to as the Berlin Wall because that was the demarcation between Ian Riley's and East Lancs in the early days of preservation. We're slowly getting rid of it, but it's still there as a reminder of what we started.
Well, you're probably all aware, when it was in British Rail Services, it wasn't awfully reliable. Having said that, when the Cobo fleet went to Cumbria, the fitters at Barrow Shed did get their heads around it, and they got them all running quite nicely. But then they were all declared non-standard and they were all withdrawn. Drivers used to like driving them. They said they were a nice, comfortable ride, and when they were running okay, they turned out the power. It's the sole remaining example of a Metropolitan Vickers Crossley Class 28. Its unique feature, of course, is the asymmetric bogies, 6-wheel bogie on one end, 4-wheel bogie on the other. Not unique across the world, but certainly unique in British Rail adaptation or employment. The Crossley HST V8 power unit, 2-stroke, 1200 horsepower at 625 RPM, 1 hour continuous rated of 1,350. So it keeps it going, it turn out a bit more. This was the reason I got involved with the Class 15 Preservation Society, was because I'm the only member of the society old enough to have heard one of these running in British Rail days. I'm so old now I can't remember what it sounded like. So I want to hear it running again. I want to see it running again. So once we get the power unit back, we will then have to take the generator out of it, marry it up with the power unit, and then drop it all back in again as one unit. The generator, again, when we took that out to have a look at it, nowhere near as bad a condition as we thought it was. It was almost like new. Just needed a few little bits of remedial action taken, and it's ready to generate power again. All the traction motors have been overhauled. They're all back with the loco. We've done all the wiring. We've done all the pipe work. We're now just waiting for a few bits of control equipment and mainly the engine. We don't know how long that is going to be. We can't give any estimates. Anybody?
On the side of the small diesel, it's a Class 14 diesel hydraulic shunter from the early 60s. There's 2 of these on the railway. One does work and is actually out, I believe, on some maintenance work somewhere on the line today. This is a sister engine, currently undergoing full restoration. Not sure what the plans are for when it's going to be back into use, but they are quite a useful little engine. On the other side here, the steam loco is a Black 5, of which there are far too many, shall we do? This is currently undergoing restoration, owned by a private group. Again, there's not much of a deadline, but as far as I'm aware, the bottom half is mostly complete. It's just the cab metal work to finish and then the big job of the boiler. But it is an ongoing restoration. It has seen service since British Rail days, so this is, I think, is its first overhaul after preservation.
This is one of them. Yeah. 109 ended up with a problem. Seems to be weird with
Okay, so the blue engine, well, your right, I guess, is a British Rail warship class based on a German diesel hydraulic locomotive type, very similar in shape. In fact, it is basically it's a smaller version of the Western, which you will see shortly. And this particular one is one of only 2 warships to survive. It is a running engine and it is out, I believe, in 2 weeks' time on the 7th. So it doesn't have any heating, so it won't be the warmest train of the day, but do come along for that. The Class 37, the grey one here, again would be working, but the generator failed back last year. It has been fixed. It's all due to go back together and will be back in use later this year. Point that might be of interest to people. The big engine here recently come back into service. It's just having a routine exam of the pistons, cylinder, etc. So the end caps are off. So if you want to know what goes on inside the bits that make all the noise, this is your chance.
It's just hot. It's common rolling.
That's the garage, that's very...
going over the shop, so I thought we were off there.